All right. I wanted to take a little bit of a peek into this video that someone linked a little bit earlier that just came out from BadEmpanada, Ryan Beard, Zionist denial in denial. Dude, can someone try and find that one tweet about like, oh man, I want to say it was Sean. I want to say it was Sean DeBlack that he bodied his ass, but maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe it was somebody else. That Ryan Beer was doing like moral grandstanding on Twitter. And someone like looked through his tweets and looked for Palestine, and they found that like in the past year, whatever, he had mentioned Palestine like 8 times. And in every single context, he was talking about voting for Kamala. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? It was so brutal to look at. It was a brutal tweet. If anyone knows that tweet, please send it to me.
Anyway, so this fella named Ryan Beard has had some choice words for me. He's extremely convinced that I'm an anti-Semite, though he can't actually explain why. And he's extremely convinced that he is qualified to judge who and who isn't a Zionist and what Zionism is and what anti-Semitism is. And I'm here to tell you that he is very much not qualified for any of that, okay? This is someone who has no fucking idea what he's talking about, who's just learning as he's going along and trying to...
This? It was Sean. This post is unavailable. Oh man, I don't remember what it said, but it was more moral grandstanding about Palestine. And Sean quote tweeted him and said, "In case you were wondering, like I was, Ryan has tweeted about Gaza 0 times, Israel 1 time, ceasefire 1 time, and Palestine a total of 7 times, all of which were just to tell people to vote for Biden." This is March 2024. So 5 months since or 6 months technically since October 7th. I wish someone screen capped it. Yeah, it was see if it's archived. Actually, I don't even know. Is it just archived?
Adapt things in a way that will allow him to sympathize with people who are absolutely horrid, the modern Nazis. Something that these people always pretended to stand by is, you know, punch a Nazi, fuck Nazis, concede nothing to the Nazis, blah, blah, blah. And then the time comes for him to actually do something about the modern Nazis, the Zionists, doing actual racial genocide in Gaza. And they can't bring themselves to. They have to play the middle. It's just fucking pathetic. So this is from 3 years ago. This is what Ryan Beard knew about Israel, Zionism, and anti-Semitism 3 years ago. Are you ready to laugh? I am. This video, by the way, is called "Trisha Paytas is an Actual Nazi." And it's 100% serious. That's not hyperbole. He actually made this video arguing that she's a Nazi. I'm sure she's a piece of shit, but a Nazi? Give me a fucking break. And the reason he made this video, by the way, is because he's a fanatical Ethan Klein fan. He admitted that to me in DMs. He has been like parasocially attached to Ethan Klein since he was very young. So he made this video to attack Trisha Paytas because Trisha Paytas had like a conflict with Ethan Klein. That really is all there is to it. Like, what a ludicrous fucking video in the first place to even make. Because now you have Ethan Klein, who is way more of a closer ideologically to a Nazi than this person ever really was. I doubt this person has much of a developed political ideology. I mean, she's like a fucking beauty YouTuber, a vlog moron or something. Ethan Klein has an actual, really somewhat developed Zionist political ideology, which is adjacent to Nazism. And his video on Ethan Klein, which he says he's making, it's not going to be anywhere near as accusatory as this Trisha Paytas is a Nazi. It's going to be like, Ethan Klein is a poor, confused individual. He said some bad things, but man, he's also a victim somehow. You know, he's made some good points every now and again as well. So for Ethan Klein's enemies, they are to be denounced as full Nazis, no reservations. For Ethan Klein, the guy who is actually supporting the Holocaust of our day, a racial genocide carried out by his favorite country, Israel. We need all the grace in the world. What more is there to say aside from that? But anyway, prepare yourself. What's to come? However bad you think it could be, trust me, it's worse.
She said that America is superior to Israel. That is just one step removed from saying white people are superior to Jewish people. If you don't want people to think that you're a white supremacist, you probably shouldn't say that your country is superior to Israel. Because you know who else thought that their country was superior to Israel?
So this guy, this know-it-all, 3 years ago, he made a video where he said that. Just the dumbest thing I've ever said. I don't even
Okay. Open the schools, open the schools.
To explain why it's fucking stupid, right? What an insane fucking thing to say. There's a million ways you could approach that and explain how fucking insanely dumb it is. This is a 3-year-old video. It is from January 2022. Now, myself in 2022, I made a whole videos like explaining what liberal Zionism is, going in depth on actual Nazi ideology, anti-Semitism. Like this video of mine, for example, is from July 2022. I go in great depth about liberal Zionism, which is Ethan Klein's ideology and very much Ryan Beard's ideology, though he will deny it and claim that he's an anti-Zionist. I made a video a year earlier where I explain in incredible depth Nazi ideology, how, anti-Semitism factored into their ideology, how countries like Israel are very similar to it. 2021. This guy is clearly, he doesn't fucking have any idea what he's talking about. There's no way in 3 years he has anything resembling a solid understanding of these things, given that he has not, he clearly has not been researching them or anything. He has claimed that he has been an anti-Zionist for a very long time. He claims here, for example, I am 100% unequivocally anti-Zionist. If you want to criticize me, go right ahead, but don't do it by attaching me to an ideology that I have always completely disagreed with. Dude, 3 fucking years ago, you said that if you think Israel is a shit country, you're just like Adolf Hitler, who also thought Israel was a shit country. Israel is a shit country.
The problem with Ryan Beard is that he's a liberal. He is fundamentally like anti-communist, anti-socialist by nature. And he does a lot of the things that I think a lot of anti-capitalist people dislike. Most notably, both siding is not the right term here, but and manufacturing consent isn't the right term here either. But he provides criticism against people that he shouldn't have criticism for or towards, and he gives sympathy towards people who have done nothing but put themselves in situations that they should be criticized for, to pretend like he has a morally superior position. And this is a good example of like Ryan Beard, their bad behavior, in my opinion. Here's an interaction. Someone was linking this a couple days ago and I didn't have the time to get to it, but now this is a good segue to have it. And to be clear, their video on Destiny was pretty good. Like I thought it was good, which is usually how these things go. Like the liberals will allow shitty people to remain in the space for way longer than need be until it gets to a point when in reality the rest of us can see like the warning signs and the red flags and immediately spot it. Recognize, oh, wait, there's no way this is a person that's worthwhile. There's no way that this person doesn't have a bunch of fucked up shit that they also believe in. There's no way that this type of person is someone that's worth looking to for moral superiority, right? And liberals tend to just not clock it until it gets too late. Also, yeah, Hitler didn't even dislike the idea of Israel. He literally cooperated with a lot of. I mean, it's more that I don't want to get too deep into it, but a lot of Nazis like the idea of Israel because you are pushing all of the Jewish people out of your country. That is why it was like, this is why a lot of European countries were in support of a Jewish state by the name of Israel. Because, well, these troublemakers need to be put somewhere where they can't cause any more trouble. And if we just got rid of them, the problem would go away. Which is, a Nazi talking point, and you shouldn't say that. And that's why when Israelis say it about Gazans, it's still Nazi shit. It's still Hitler particle shit. So, moving on. This tweet. Because I defended Ethan Klein after he had CPS called on him, and because I've been critical of BadEmpanada's history of harassing and doxing people and saying that Jews aren't oppressed, I've been labeled a liberal Zionist by BadEmpanada and people on Reddit. let me be clear for the millionth time. I am 100% unequivocally anti-Zionist. I believe Zionism is a harmful ethno-nationalist ideology that has been used to justify the oppression of countless Palestinians. If you want to criticize me, go right ahead, but please don't do it by attacking me to an ideology that I've always completely disagreed with and think is actively being used to justify committing a genocide. And they also go on to say, I also have a ton of criticisms of Ethan. Just because I think some of the harassment he has received is ridiculous doesn't mean I agree with all of his actions towards other creators or his takes on Israel and Palestine. I'll be diving deeper into my criticism in a video I'm working on. And Mike kind of went in. Mike, who called CPS on Ethan? Ryan Beard responds, I have no idea. Probably someone from Reddit, possibly someone who knows Ethan personally. However, I do know BadEmpanada has repeatedly justified that he thinks it was good that CPS was called, which I think is ridiculous given the fact that Giardia is 6 times less dangerous for children than the common flu. So why did you defend Ethan when he libeled all of us, especially Denims, and claimed that we were responsible for the CPS call? He even said Denims did it. What motivated you to defend defamation? Huh? You think me defending that it was ridiculous that CPS was called means I defended Ethan saying Denims did CPS? You're smarter than this, Mike. Please actually engage with what I'm saying. And I would say Mike is engaging. Saying, you admitted that CPS may have been called by someone in his personal life. He's admitted he doesn't know who did it. Why are you defending him? How do you know the condition of his home? Why are you speaking out at all? Again, he defamed multiple people saying that we did it. Mike is just saying you can't side with this guy by defending him and claiming that his cause is righteous. His actions might have been not righteous, but his cause was righteous. In more words. But then later pretend like you're not saying this. This is the same issue that people have with like news anchors on CNN that say, okay, well, we agree the immigration is a problem. And it's like, wait, what? What do you mean? Who's we here? Huh? Like if you, Ryan Beard, think that the CPS call was offline and you don't think any of these people caused CPS, and Ethan has been actively defaming anyone he can to try and accuse them of calling CPS, why would you even mention CPS? Well, to win points over with Ethan and then to pretend to be impartial. To be like, no, you can trust me because I defended it. I defended him when he decided to go online and share a bunch of personal stories about himself and then blame everybody else for the impending CPS call that led to a visit in his house instead of, I don't know, criticizing his behavior. And then goes even further and parrots a bullshit narrative pushed by Ethan Klein. It's like, dude, you're not impartial when you're taking it from that guy's fucking mouth. Lies from that guy's mouth when he says, I'm defending him because I think it was insane that anyone called CPS. It was ridiculous that Denims uncritically watched that BadEmpanada video in the first place. He did not watch that stream. I refuse to believe he watched that stream. He watched one clip, and he has no idea whether or not I've ever gone in on BadEmpanada, whether I've disagreed with him, whether I've criticized him, which, spoiler alert, I have criticized him. He's just making this up because he's too lazy. They're too lazy to actually go and watch the stream. To assume that any leftist is uncritically watching BadEmpanada is fucking hilarious. And it shows that you haven't actually watched any of their content. You're making statements about other people that help you build this veneer of impartiality. And in reality, what you actually did in terms of watching me uncritically watch BadEmpanada was watch a 30-second clip, which is unbelievable. Like truly incredible stuff happening. And in reality, and it's ridiculous, BadEmpanada has continued to defend it ever since, then you should criticize BadEmpanada separately. Because again, if Ryan Beard, if they had any desire to actually be impartial, it would be then reasonable that, I don't know, maybe they would have watched the video that I made where I explicitly show that all of these CPS messages did not in fact happen when BadEmpanada said what he said, and in fact happened because I was critically watching BadEmpanada and said, wait, there's no way this is true. There's no way. Is this true? And then chat linked me Ethan Klein's stream where he says it. Like, it is definitionally not uncritically watching it when I am saying this is too crazy to be true. Let me watch it straight from Ethan Klein's mouth. And then I watched it straight from Ethan Klein's mouth. And then that's when people start reacting the way that they do. So like when you pretend to be impartial to win points over because you want to feel impartial, but you aren't actually willing to truly be impartial, because being truly impartial means that you side with one side way more than the other side because one side is actually wrong. It's not impartial to give credit to both sides when one side is actually wrong. And then they go in and go on and on and on, whatever. But yeah, Mike just cooking. All right. Let's continue.
Any country is superior to Israel. Any country, aside from Nazi Germany, is superior to Israel. That's a great little fact there. He clearly fought literally 3 years ago that Israel and Jew were synonymous. And he's saying that, like, no, you have not always been an anti-Zionist. Want more evidence of it? I mean, I have no problem showing you more. So when I did a fundraiser, this is the how I even heard of this guy, by the way. I did a fundraiser for the UNRWA last year, more than a year ago. And Ryan Beard tried to sabotage the fundraiser by saying, are you fucking kidding me? BadEmpanada? You're going to do a stream with BadEmpanada? The online left is cooked. Jesus Christ. He's always... He's been an anti-Zionist. He's also a leftist, apparently. That's also not true. He's always been an anti-Zionist, but BadEmpanada is an anti-Semite, you know. You can be too anti-Zionist for him. And the funniest thing about that is at the same time where he said that we shouldn't fundraise for Gaza, he had a pinned tweet where he was soliciting donations for a documentary about being fat. I'm not fucking kidding you, okay? This is how I even know who this guy is. He came at me. He's going to claim, or he has claimed already, that I'm harassing him. The only reason I even know who he is because of him posting this shit, trying to sabotage a fundraiser for Gaza. Like, this guy has posted about me so fucking much. Oh my God. He's like, oh my God, BadEmpanada played Call of Duty on stream. And he said he was going to kill Gila, something that, for one, I didn't say. For one, Gila was actually a combatant. She lies about being a secretary. This is going to be covered in the Ethan Klein content nuke. Gila was a soldier. The secretary thing is a cover. They have said multiple times that she was actually a soldier. And from the rank that she clearly displayed in some of her photos in her beret, it's a year of combat training. So she was not just a secretary. That was the joke that I was making there. You see, I said, I'm hunting secretaries, and then the supposed secretaries were actually shooting at me first. Do you get the joke? It's that she's lying. She was a soldier. She was a combatant. They lie about what they did. Now, you know what makes it clear you're a Zionist? You're angrier about that joke. You're angry about that than you are about Gila Klein kidnapping a random Palestinian man in the West Bank on a raid, which she openly admitted to. You're angry about me making fun of her for being an illegal occupier in the West Bank, by choice, by the way. She chose that transfer. You're angry at me for laughing at that, but you're not angry at her for forcibly disappearing a man in a terrorist raid. Yeah, you're a definite real anti-Zionist, Ryan. You are the most anti-Zionist of all the anti-Zionists. This guy claims...
Like I said, it's attempting a veneer of impartiality, but when it comes to actually making any criticism, any reasonable criticism that anyone else has ever made about Ethan Klein or Gila Klein or whatever, pure silence. It's, well, I don't agree with everything that they've said. End of sentence. The BadEmpanada is both an international criminal making videos from prison and a tool of psychological warfare. Yeah, BadEmpanada is both. The enemy is weak and strong.
Seems to be anti-Zionist, and he claimed that Biden and Kamala were trying to stop the genocide in Gaza, by the way. According to Ryan here, he posted 8 fucking months into the genocide, Kamala has pushed for a ceasefire in Gaza. Just an utterly insane thing to say, by the way. The Biden administration did nothing about Gaza at all. Nothing, literally nothing. Trump did more. You see, when Trump came in and immediately did a ceasefire, the Biden administration could have done that at any time. The fact of the matter is they put no limits on Israel. Nothing. They didn't negotiate shit. They didn't want to either. And Biden administration officials have openly said this. They've bragged about it. Senior officials in Washington, according to Israel's Channel 13 News, admitted that the Biden administration did not at all push for a ceasefire in Gaza. This is something that was fucking obvious at the time. Everyone's been saying this for fucking ever. And this guy somehow thinks they were pushing for a ceasefire. He saw no evidence of that. He saw no reason to believe that, but he still spread that narrative. This is an anti-Zionist, apparently, by the way. This is an anti-Zionist. Despite the White House's public messaging about restraining Israel, the internal consensus appeared to be that the administration had no intention of exerting real pressure on the Israeli state. I need you to understand why this guy thinks this. For one, he's a liberal. Obviously, he's a Zionist, even though he says otherwise. He's a liberal. For two, as it says here, the White House's public messaging about restraining Israel, he sees words and thinks they're actions. This guy thinks that Biden pretending to cry, or I don't even know if he even pretended to cry, but let's imagine that Biden pretended to cry about children from Gaza. Let's imagine that Biden pretended to cry about children from Gaza, right? And then he went and signed over another bomb shipment. This guy sees the crying, and that's what he pays attention to. He doesn't pay.
That's what gets me to the obvious lying. Why can't they say that over the past few years / months, they've come to the anti-Zionist position? That would at least be more believable, at least if they weren't still an Ethan defender. That's what one chatter says. I agree. I mean, I've been pretty open about it's actually been very funny going back and looking at old things I've posted or old comments I've had or old messages or whatever, where I've been pretty anti-capitalist for as long as I can remember. I just didn't know that the term for that was being a Marxist until I did more reading and more research and spent more time engaging with leftists and realized, oh, yeah, this is fucked. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on all these things. Okay, got it. Sure, cool, great. The one thing I would say that I've changed my position on was China, where for a very long time I was I was shoveling that fucking propaganda machine Red Scare. Not the communist Red Scare, but the free speech Red Scare. And then I think now more than ever, especially with, what was it called? Was it called Red Book or Red Note? I don't remember. Where a bunch of Americans were talking to Chinese people and they were like, oh, wait, we're totally propagandized to fuck. But I would say before that, I would say a year before that, I started changing my mind on all things China. And anytime, I would say most people feel this way. Anytime you realize that a position that you held was based off of things that are not true or things that were exaggerated, I get a little skeptical of everything else. Because you're letting me know that you're not a impartial narrator or not a reliable narrator. And a big one for me was the Uyghur Muslim genocide, where every single fucking American and a lot of American outlets were so excited to call it a genocide. And then when Israel is actively committing a genocide that meets the definition of genocide, that has UN reporting on this, that has an ICJ case on this, that South Africa brings this to people, to the global attention. And I see that everyone is suddenly claiming that you can't just call anything and everything a genocide, but we were so excited to do it for China. Why is everybody looking up? Oh, I see. I love Donald Trump. He is the king of the world. America needs a tough president. After Sweden's climate girl couldn't find investments and make money, she switched to supporting Hamas terrorists. Famously being anti-oil and coal. There's a lot of money to be made there. Famously being anti-climate change. There's a lot of money to be made there. Me when I'm a total fucking moron. Oh my God. Christ. Holy shit, you're an idiot. Have as much fun as you guys want. But anyways, And then I like look back on the way that we talked about China, and it's like, wait, why is it that anytime you try and talk about China and anything positive that China's done, immediately people demand that you decry every negative thing that China has ever done ever? You don't have to do that with American policies. It's not like you have to be like, okay, I know America had slavery, and I know America currently technically has slavery in the form of prison labor camps, and I know America already has free speech violations right now, and I know America also has, they have all these problems. But I do like burgers. Like, I do like the Green New Deal. You don't have to do that for any other fucking country. Why is it that when you talk about anything positive, any government policy that is positive from China, you also have to say every negative thing first? You have to be like, oh, okay, well, yes, there were war crimes against the Uyghur populations that many people would agree with. Yeah, there are, the country of China is, I would say it's at this point as authoritarian as America is. Yes, the country of China has billionaires in it. Yes, the country of China has negative things that have happened in that country. Correct. You guys heard that? You guys heard where she's sitting in the living room just meowing her heart out. But I like their transportation. I like the amount of money they spend in infrastructure. I like. Why is it that you have to list off every single negative thing anytime you want to say anything positive about any of China's government plans? It's so bizarre. I just don't. Your kitty is praising Mao. She's like, Mao, come save us. Same energy as Israel has a right to exist. In a way, yeah. And so, like, seeing Western propaganda machines spit out so much garbage about China all the time, and every single time they want to talk about China, they always portray it as a bad thing. I mean, even that fucking CNN, oh my God, dude. Even that CNN video we watched at the very beginning about AI, the fucking, no pushback on this AI fuckhead who's like, well, we don't want China to have the only power in AI. Like, that's why we need to invest more in US companies. And we don't want China to have it because, you know, obviously that's bad. It's like, no pushback on that? Like, what the fuck? Objectively, China participating in this. And, well, first of all, at the very least, maybe the host, maybe Cooper could at least just say, yeah, I mean, any country having the only control over tech is always bad. He doesn't do that. The insinuation is that it's specifically China. Meanwhile, China put together one of the best AI models that is the cheapest and one of the most efficient and has better, like, its language model is better than, like, DeepSeek's language model is better than OpenAI. And it's open source. And it's like, wait, you guys just think it's bad because it's open source. What the fuck? But of course, you can't talk about China unless you list off all the bad things and say, obviously it's bad. And all. Anyways, when you start to see that, like CNN, MSNBC, Fox, like every single piece of media that you were consuming or are consuming, always shit on China as much as they can, but they never actually elaborate or explain why you're allowed to do that. And half the shit that they say is contradicted within like the next broadcast when talking about a different nation that we like. It's like, what the fuck? So like that's a position going all the way back. That's a position where I feel like I've switched on, like I've changed my mind on. I think I always knew since entering business school that like China, it was a matter of time before China kind of overtakes the US because the US refuses to invest in any public infrastructure, invest in education, invest in people, invest in hospitals, invest in anything for the people that live here, basically. And like even the most rigorous capitalists in my university were like, yeah, you should learn like Mandarin. China will overtake us at this rate. They'll follow it up with, I don't want them to, but they're going to. So I always thought that that was the case, that China would overtake us, that it was just a matter of time. But my position changed on like, from like, oh, China bad to China good. And like, I would say like a couple years ago where I was like, oh, wait, what the fuck? America thinks in fiscal quarters, China thinks in centuries. One of the benefits of a nation existing for so long, by the way. Moving on. moving on. I just wanted to say that to say there's nothing wrong with saying you've changed your position or saying, oh, yeah, I've seen more media. I've read more on this topic. I've heard more scholars talk about this topic. And I've noticed like the sort of like big gaps in coverage on these things from places I used to watch or listen to or whatever. And I've changed my position on this a little bit because, yeah, I think actually China based. Is that so difficult to say when it comes to like Zionism? Is that so difficult to say? It's so difficult to be like, oh yeah, I had this position before. I've changed my position. I don't, that's like one thing. I don't know if it's like unironically like talks mask or whatever it is. I don't fucking give a shit what it is. I don't get what's so wrong about saying you've learned more and changed your opinions for the better. I genuinely, like, it doesn't click in my brain.
Pay attention to the actual actions. It's fucking zero IQ shit, man. Just zero IQ shit. Where's the anti-Zionism? There's none of it. This guy, by the way, this guy is clear.
Let 1,000 Mayor Cats meow.
That's on activation count. Thank you for the 26 months. Tesseract, Anon, thank you for the gift sub. Bippy, thank you for the gift sub. Miss Noobster, thank you for the gift sub. Ghost Dunk, Codeman, Clefariel, Mao Zedong, still one of the best names in here. Kagure, thank you for the 45 months. Dizzle, Bad Train Wreck, thank you for the 25. Reno, Sako, Rum King. Thank you guys so much for all the subbies. I appreciate it.
Clearly totally unequipped to call anyone an anti-Semite, to make any sort of claim to be like an anti-Zionist. He knows nothing about the topic at all. And his views on the topic are clearly tinged by the fact that like he's attached to Ethan Klein. He admitted this to me privately. He has a
No, Naomi, shut the fuck up.
personal attachment to Ethan Klein and his content, and he really wants to find some angle to defend him, some angle to give him good grace. He's like, I think BadEmpanada is an anti-Semite. He's a doxer and a horrible person who believes Jews aren't oppressed. Yeah, they fucking aren't. Where are they oppressed? He can't tell you, can he? This guy, 3 years ago, he thought that Israel and Jew was one and the same, and he's here to lecture you about who's an anti-Semite and who isn't. 3 years ago, he said that Hitler thought his country was superior to Israel. And he's here to tell you about how he's the real anti-Zionist and the other anti-Zionists go too far. This guy also constantly shows up in like the chats of like the H3 podcast, H3 orbiters. This one is from like this disgusting H3 orbiter called Papa Gut. He shows up in his chat and he's like, did you hear that iDubbbz followed me and then I criticized Hamas? Well, look at
If I ever post this much cringe, you guys would tell me, right? Right?
them. They support those damn Islamic resistance fighters. He's anti-Zionist. And here he is bragging about how he criticizes Hamas. You know, a normal thing to do for an anti-Zionist is to go to a Zionist stream and try to like curry favor with them by telling them how much you denounce the resistance and making fun of people who, according to you, didn't want to associate with you anymore because of that. Yeah, dude, real anti-Zionism here. This guy is making a video about Ethan Klein, he says. So I talked to him privately. He did not want to come on stream, but I had a bit of a chat with him in DMs, not voice. And he does not know much, okay? He really doesn't know what he's talking about. He did not know, for example, that the Nakba started before the Arab states intervened. There was so much stuff that he did not know about, very basic stuff that you would expect an anti-Zionist to know about. So that he thinks that he has any right to pronounce on this sort of stuff is just Dunning-Kruger manifest. This is someone who thinks they know everything and who also wants to play both sides at the same time. He wants to be liked by both sides. But there's no both sides here. There's no centrist angle to this. Zionists are Nazis. The time is here for you to like put your money where your mouth is. You know, you've denounced Nazis. You've said punch a Nazi for all this fucking time. Well, here's the time for it. Here's the moment where you can put that into practice. Zionists are the modern Nazis. Zionists are doing a Nazi-style racial genocide. Where's the energy for that? Why are you looking for ways to apologize for them? Why are you looking for like ways in which you can sympathize with Ethan Klein, a Zionist? Why? Because you're not an anti-Zionist ultimately, because you're not actually anti-Nazi ultimately. It was all posturing. It's easy to say punch a Nazi when the Nazis aren't really any real significant threat. It's a lot harder to say the same about Zionists when the Zionists are doing the same exact thing that you've claimed to be against this whole time. 3 years ago, you said that Israel and Jews are one and the same, and that if you thought Israel was a shit country, you were basically Adolf Hitler. You believed the narrative of there being this great
Literally, what did I say? You would think I pre-watched it, but it wouldn't be possible for me to have pre-watched it because it only came out 41 minutes ago. And you guys, I have an alibi. I was literally streaming. Okay, I was literally streaming the entire time, okay? I'm safe, Your Honor. Cringe posting is just a tool, Denims. Depends on what your cringe posting goals are. Okay, you're right. My cringe posting goals are to... it's Marie Kondo cringe posting goals, okay? I want to spark joy. So any cringe posting that doesn't spark joy is not what I want, okay?
Anti-Semitism crisis, and you just spread it uncritically. You know, the question to pose to these people is, okay, so if there's an anti-Semitism crisis, if there's massive anti-Semitic oppression, can you name us one group, like, in any place where there's a significant amount of Jews? Say, like, more than 500. Like, one group that faces, like, less oppression than Jews do. I can think of one group in the USA, whites. Nothing else. There's literally nothing else. So you should ask yourself, why is there such a focus on anti-Semitism? Why are you focusing so much on anti-Semitism? Why are you talking so much about anti-Semitism? It doesn't really make any practical sense for you to focus on it in such a laser manner. It doesn't make any sense for it to be focused on in the media in such a singular way. You're not interrogating that, are you? You're just smearing anti-Zionists as anti-Semites for actually interrogating it, for actually having a material analysis of the facts of the reality. And all that this guy ever does when he responds to me is he just says that I'm an anti-Semite. He never actually responds to my arguments. When I pose him the question in DMs of name one group who you think, aside from whites, are less oppressed than Jews, he couldn't answer the question. His answer was that he thinks that Jews in Iran are oppressed, which isn't the case at all. Jews in Iran are basically just the same as any other non-Islamic religious group. Like, bringing up Iran is the worst place you really could have possibly brought up. A Jew in Iran is basically treated as the exact same as a Christian. And to be clear, the population of Jews in Iran, in the Middle East, everywhere else, is minuscule, almost no one. When he talks about anti-Semitism, he's clearly talking about the West. He's clearly talking about the US, Europe. And I'll reiterate what I always said about this. In the US and Europe, there is no group, aside from whites, that Jews are more oppressed than. So it doesn't make any fucking sense about this, okay? It doesn't make any sense, the singular laser focus on it. It doesn't make any sense that we're even talking about it right now. And the only reason that we're talking about it, the only reason that the idea that we should is it was even implanted in your head is because of this narrative that you're seeing in the media and you're accepting uncritically, coming directly from Zionist organizations and from the pro-Israel media who want to spread it. And the fact that you're not interrogating this during a genocide, you're interrogating how this narrative benefits the genocide and the genociders and the Zionists like Ethan Klein, shows that you're not an anti-Zionist, because an anti-Zionist would do that. It's not denying that there is anti-Semitism. Obviously, there is anti-Semitism, though anyone who
it's the same way that, like, Ethan Klein claims that he's pro-Palestinian and dedicates basically no energy at all to, I don't know, actually uplifting the voices of Palestinians that aren't Israel fucking shills, that aren't just like mouthpieces for the state of Israel. I'm looking at Ahmed al-Khatib. Like, hello? But he donated, Denim, even though he said that donating doesn't do anything, even though when leftists brought up the fact that we organized one of the largest fundraising events, Creators for Palestine, and raised, what, 1.5 mil? His response was, oh, are the people of Palestine free yet? I didn't think so. Money is not going to do shit. But also, guys, he donated. He's donated at least $6,000, okay? He might be a multimillionaire living in a Bel Air mansion, but he literally donated a few $1,000s, okay?
Interested in really denouncing anti-Semitism would be denouncing it in the context of it being weaponized against Arabs in an actual systemic way. Anti-Semitic tropes are being used against Arabs way more than they are against Jews now, to way worse effect. Arabs are actually being deported and attacked, not just in the US either, in Germany as well, for example, because of these sorts of repurposing of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories against Arabs. So it's a fucking joke that you're focusing on anti-Semitism or supposed oppression of Jews in this moment. Even talking about it is a red herring, even talking about it right now, as if it's anything special, as if it's at all related, or it should be talked about at all in relation to Israel, is ridiculous. In Israel, Jews are oppressors. In Israel, Jews are considered superior by law. So even talk about anti-Semitism in this context is a fucking joke. And if that makes you uncomfortable, you're not an anti-Zionist. Now, this guy is like, just honestly, I almost feel bad for him. I think he's in a cult. I think he is in like a cult where he started watching Ethan Klein. Who knows fucking why? I guess he was probably like a 12-year-old or something. When he was a kid, he became attached to him, like mentally attached to him. And this has led him to just apologize for Ethan Klein in the dumbest ways possible. Like, I honestly find it really unbelievable. I didn't actually finish my thought earlier. What I was going to say about the video that he's making on Ethan Klein, he's going to try to have his cake and eat it too. He's not going to do what you should do to a Zionist, which is unequivocally denounce them, unequivocally detach yourself from them, denounce them as what they are, a genocidal, racial supremacist beast. What he's going to do is he's going to be uncritically accepting Ethan's victim narrative, spreading the
All right. Dude, the average, like, Zionist chatter is so funny. Israel just wants to establish a country, but it's been massacred by terrorists time and time again. Why do some young, ignorant people still support Hamas, a terrorist? Hamas is a terrorist. In case you guys were curious, it's just one guy. His name is Hamas Biker, and he is the thing stopping Israel. It's just one guy. Miss John Hamas. Yes. Can you imagine, like, I show up. Wait, I got to phrase this correctly. Can you imagine the universe where I show up to a chatter's house and I'm like, I want your house now, so I'm going to take it. And then I take it and I'm like, I don't understand why you're fighting me. I just wanted to take your house and call it my house. And for some reason, now you're trying to massacre me. I just don't get it. I just killed all of your family members to take your home from you. And you're like mad at me? I just want to be a peaceful country that takes your home from you. And you do nothing about it. Is that so wrong? Is that really so incorrect? If I don't steal it, somebody else will steal it. Real clip, by the way, from a guy from Brooklyn upon taking a woman's home in Palestine. This is like so adorable. Like, this is just amazing. Like, this person lives in such a simple world where like they think that they're the good guy always and all their positions have to be correct. So they don't actually look into any history. Like, this guy doesn't even know what the Nakba is. If I asked this guy to define the Nakba, he couldn't tell me what it is. He'll define it as, isn't that when a bunch of Arab people maliciously killed Jews? No interest in engaging, because if he engaged, he might realize, wait, are we the baddies? It's also really cute because, oh, account suspended. I was going to say he's doing Nazi talking points, which is crazy because that's exactly what Nazis in Germany said about you. We just want to establish a little ethno state that doesn't have any undesirables. Is that so wrong that we want to massacre all the people we don't like? Like, it's literally the same argument. I don't.
like CPS narrative, probably even the skulls, honestly. And he'll make like some light criticisms for the sake of fake nuance, for the sake of being able to say, hey, look, this isn't just an Ethan Klein glazing video. I said one or two negative things about him. And I think there's two outcomes here. Either it's too critical for Ethan Klein, because Ethan Klein can handle very little criticism. And he ends up getting skewered because of that, both by anti-Zionists for essentially making a video whitewashing a Zionist and attacking anti-Zionists for being in conflict with Ethan Klein. Because he's mentioned he's going to be attacking me, he's going to be attacking Hassan and iDubbbz and stuff. So it's either he ends up making a video that is sufficiently uncritical of Ethan Klein to be accepted into Ethan Klein's inner circle, which I think is what he's going for here. Or he's too critical of Ethan Klein, even in his attempt to glaze him, that he ends up having Ethan Klein shit on him as a result, and he'll be left being hated both by anti-Zionists and Klein and his Zionist contingent as well. Ethan Klein is an unabashed racial supremacist Zionist, okay? There's no room for nuance here. There's no room for giving him credit. There's no room for light criticism. You don't criticize someone like this. You just denounce them plainly, as you would like a fucking Nazi propagandist, which is what he is. The Nazi propagandists are here. What would you have done to them if they were before you in 1940? Well, now you have the chance to denounce them as you would back then, because Ethan Klein's there. He's the Nazi propagandist of today, isn't he? Ethan Klein has justified bombing hospitals. He's justified the Nakba. He said,
oh yeah, this video. I'm sure almost everyone in here has seen it, but yeah, this is the video that everybody references.
Jacob, you know this is not your house.
Yes, but if I go, you don't go back. So what's the problem? Why are you yelling at me? I didn't do this. I didn't do this.
But
It's easy to yell at me, but I didn't do this.
you are stealing my house.
And if I don't steal it, someone else is gonna steal it.
No one is allowed to steal it, يا عمي.
זה לא שלי להחזיר.
בוא נגיד שזה יש
That's what radicalized me? Reasonably so. Reasonably so. Reasonably so.
Said Israel is an awesome, diverse place with no apartheid. He said that Israel
Also,
doesn't.
he's from East Meadow, Long Island, not Brooklyn. His father subtitles in Jericho. Dude was Silver Spoon loser. Of course he's from Long Island.
Intentionally target journalists, doesn't intentionally target children. It wouldn't do that. He says there's no apartheid. He moved to Israel voluntarily to colonize it. He calls random Arabs terrorists. He's against any action to stop the genocide, such as anti-genocide blockades. He's married to a terrorist wife who disappeared a random Palestinian man in a terrorist raid. Like, there's nothing to say about him that could be good. It's like making a video denouncing Nick Fuentes and trying to find positive things to say about him. There's no difference. And that's where the angles he's going to go with here. It's a fucking joke. It's a total joke. And to be clear, the only reason why I'm kind of being nice to him is because I talked to him in DMs, and he probably learned a lot from that, but he's still going to like try to make a video smearing me anyway. I noticed that he's basically unswayable because like I say something to him that he didn't know before, like regarding the colonization of Palestine, like that it was pre-planned for 100 years. Like he, for example, he tried to compare the colonization of Israel, of Palestine by Zionists to black nationalism in the USA. And I said, it's not the same thing, obviously, because black people were kidnapped there, forced there against their will, enslaved. So if they want to separate, you know, if they want a little tract of land for themselves, that makes a lot of sense. And it's quite just, actually. But, you know, Zionism isn't that. Zionism was a a long pre-planned project of racial supremacy in which settlers went somewhere and invaded it and stole it for themselves so they could institute racial supremacy on that land. And he apparently had never thought of that. He apparently had never thought of how these things might be different. And I'm just flabbergasted that someone like that is making a video to slander anti-Zionists and to try and find something positive to say about a Zionist while calling himself a fucking anti-Zionist. Every single time I said anything to him that was objectively true, he would say that he agrees with it, and then he would throw out a clearly loaded question in response like, but do you think they should expel all the Jews? Like, but do you really think Israelis are bad people? It's like trying to find something positive to say about Nazis. Like, if you wouldn't say that sort of thing, if I were denouncing Nazis and explaining Nazism to you, and you're bringing it up in this context, you're not an anti-Zionist. The way that I explained it to him, and I gave him the opportunity to hop on the stream and talk about this, by the way. He only wanted to talk in DMs. The way that I explained it to him was like, the way that he poses me these loaded gotcha questions in response to literally any basic anti-Zionist position that I was saying to him, it's like responding to someone who's denouncing Nazism by saying, I agree, but don't you think the German people are victims themselves for being misled by Nazism? Why? Why do you all feel the need to pose these weird, loaded questions in response to any anti-Zionist speech if you're actually an anti-Zionist? I had to explain to him what the Palestinian Authority was. He didn't know what the Palestinian Authority was. I had to explain to him why they're a collaborator organization. I had to explain to him basically like the very basics of Hamas, like how they operate. Like they're not actually an Islamist movement at all. They are primarily a national liberation movement in every single thing they've ever done and said. It's clear. It's just so weird that someone who claims to be anti-Zionist has so many loaded gotcha questions in like the Loner box style to ask whenever you pose him a basic like anti-Zionist position. But he's just so ridiculously into the H3 cult that there's no way that he could ever unequivocally denounce Ethan Klein, regardless of how disgusting Ethan and Hila are today. Hila especially, obviously, but Ethan, you know, he doesn't deserve to be given any grace just because Hila is worse. So he was confronted with the video. Remember the video of Ethan like outright saying like all the stuff that we have been saying about him with regards to like like Ethan said on his stream that his kids ate shit. He implied at least that his kids ate shit and that they got giardia from it. Okay? And Ryan Beard started defending having shit all over your house and your kids eating it. Like, I'm fucking sorry. Like, I can't even laugh at this after talking to him because it humanized him a little bit. And I think he's a victim of a cult, honestly. I think he's a victim of a cult. And he's also like too much of a narcissist, too much of an egoist. He has too much Dunning-Kruger. And
To go back. BadEmpanada. I denounce this statement that is true. when it is clearly true when he said that the only way to ingest it is the only way to get Giardia is to ingest it, okay? I denounce this clip, okay? I denounce it in its entirety. I disavow. Everyone should disavow. I condemn.
Giardia from it, okay? And Ryan Beard started defending having shit all over your house and your kids eating it. Like, I'm fucking sorry. Like, I can't even laugh at this.
Dude, there was a really good edit that I wanted to share with you guys. Isn't it crazy that people just ignore the original clip? Like, it's been reposted so many times at this point, and there's not a single snarker that will admit that that happened. And there's like, sorry, there are a few. Excuse me. There are a few, and they're like, well, I think it was bad. That's all. But really, it's all of your fault and everybody else's fault that we hate. It's like, okay. But there was this one. This one.
Hey there, folks. I appreciate you stopping by. The man on your screen is Ethan Klein. Say hi to Ethan, everybody. He made the mistake of sharing too much information online. This has caused him a lot of headaches. He doesn't like that people are repeating what he said. Ethan broadcast to thousands that his child caught a parasite, which spreads from eating his poop.
It's extremely ridiculous to get. You have to ingest my poop.
Yep, you're not hallucinating. He really said that. When people warned him to stop, Ethan didn't listen. He didn't think about the consequences. Now his kid's stuck with a cruel nickname and years of teasing. Please remember to stay safe online. Don't be like Ethan Klein. Think twice before you post or say anything in front of an audience. Keep private stuff private and be accountable. Your words matter.
Just beautiful. The only thing that this was missing was the part where he says, Sonny has Giardia, and now Hila has Giardia. That's the only thing it was missing. Like, he is implying it in that statement. I don't know what other conclusion the audience was supposed to come to from that segment of his show. But no, it's all these other people that are repeating lies, not just, I don't know, playing him saying what he said.
After talking to him, because it humanized him a little bit. And I think he's a victim of a cult, honestly. I think he's a victim of a cult. And he's also like too much of a narcissist, too much of an egoist. He has too much Dunning-Kruger. And he likes H3 too much as a result of this. So he posted, infection by a parasite that is 6 times less deadly than the common flu.
No, can you link it, Lizzie?
Is not a justified reason for a wellness check. I had a cat growing up that would shit all over my house no matter how much my parents tried to get it to use the litter box. This does not mean I was in danger of being neglected by my parents. You are literally justifying the CPS call now. To anyone outside your bubble, this makes you look totally insane. Okay, look, my man, look.
Not the poopy beard story.
If there are kids crawling around in feces, it is absolutely justified to call CPS to get them checked on. CPS should have checked your house. And CPS themselves obviously think that. The people who work there, like, you can criticize the organization as a whole all you want. The people who work there are ultimately social workers specialized in helping kids. And
that's the other thing too. It's like a fundamental misunderstanding of the type of people that work in these, like, in these jobs, right? The type of people that want to work as social workers. If you've spoken to social workers, you know that the type of people that even go into that field, they, despite all of the, I was going to say shit that they have to deal with, but that's no pun intended. All right, sorry, bad timing. Despite all of the negatives of that job, they do it because they want to help, right? Like, there are social workers that have to deal with, like, very abusive homes, and you have to watch that as, like, a random social worker. Like, I can't imagine that that's an easy job to have. And those people stay in those jobs anyways because they want to help. The idea that, like, there are like hogs in that field is crazy. It's just
pretty sure they know better than you or me what a shitty situation for a kid to be in is. When there is a shit covered house, they should absolutely check it. Yes, they should, man. What are you saying? Please, this is painful. Why would you embarrass yourself like this? And I mean, he doubled down on it. He's just in a cult. He's a member of a cult, a parasocial cult. This is why there's no way that he could ever make a video outright denouncing Zionism, because Ethan Klein's a Zionist. He has a parasocial attachment to Ethan Klein. So he just has to find ways to paint Ethan Klein as a victim. He has to find ways that he can play the middle. It's going to backfire him on so bad. Everyone's just going to hate him for it. You know, you can't play the fucking middle during a Zionist genocide. During a Zionist genocide, I mean, even before the Zionist genocide, you denounce the Zionists. You don't side with them on anything. There's no need for nuance. There's no need to find common ground with them. There's no need to find the good in them. You just denounce them. Denounce them as you would Adolf Hitler. You know, you don't talk about how Adolf Hitler was a loving husband for about 16 hours before he died, and he loved dogs and he was a vegetarian. You shit on him. This is him doubling down on that animal shit thing. Children being occasionally exposed to animal shit is not something worth calling CPS over. Yeah, man. If you have evidence, as in someone openly saying on their stream, implying that their kid is ingesting feces, that they're crawling around in it and putting it in their mouth, that is something that is worth a CPS visit. That's just a fucking fact. Yes, it is, man. That is a situation that warrants a visit. Like, I don't like as well how they're talking about
like, what a crazy thing to say online. Quote, I was exposed to cat shit growing up pretty regularly because my cat would randomly shit all over the house, end quote, Ryan Beard. What? What a crazy thing to share. Oh my.
CPS visits like it's swatting. It's not, man. It's not something to be traumatized over. It's not something super mega serious. Even if the CPS visit was erroneous, even if the house really wasn't as Ethan Klein implied it was on his stream, the visit's still fucking warranted to make sure it's not. To keep the kids safe. Not at all a bad thing. If CPS checked on them because they suspected, based on, rightfully by the way, on what Ethan had implied on his stream, that the house was covered in shit, and they checked on them, which, by the way, we don't actually know that any of this actually happened. There's still no evidence for the CPS call. But anyway, if they checked on them, found the house was not covered in shit, gave them the all clear, then good.
Work as a nurse that have I work as a nurse with teens that have substance abuse problems, and the amount of times we have to call CPS is always in the interest of trying to help the child. It's literally called Child Protective Services a lot of the time. The case is dropped due to a lack of evidence. So having a visit isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just part of the investigation process. No, it's literally SEAL Team 6 showing up at your door. And it's either they say you're the best parent in the world and you have never done anything wrong ever in any type of way, or we literally take your kids away and feed them to the wood chipper immediately. Then there's definitely nothing in between. There's definitely nothing that happens before that point. You're either given the Parent of the Year award and you're allowed to keep your children forever, or you have them taken away immediately. It's so, and all of this is so stupid when you remember that Ethan himself said the call was from someone that he knows, and the fact that there isn't anonymous reporting in California.
The system worked. They did that job. That's what they're supposed to do. The ideal CPS visit is one that wasn't actually needed. They can't just take your children away unless they have a reason for it, like your house being covered in shit. That would be a good reason to take your kids away. And they wouldn't do that immediately anyway. Even if your house was covered in shit, they would ask you to improve it. They would ask you to fix it, and then they'd come back like in a month. So get out of here with this victim narrative. This is not swatting. He wasn't raided by SEAL Team 6. It was a social worker trained in dealing with children, trained in assuring child welfare with a clipboard. The narrative is bullshit. And that Ryan Beard is saying that, like, if your kids are crawling in shit, they shouldn't be checked on. Yes, they fucking should. This is like a CPS visit is nowhere near as serious as you're saying it is. This is not swatting. His house wasn't raided by SEAL Team 6. The FBI did not kick his doors down. His kids, at most, were checked on.
Pre-watch. Fuck.
That's all. For perfectly valid reasons. Give us a fucking break. The only way that you can possibly say this is if you are just so parasocially attached to these fucking Zionist losers. Like, Ethan Klein is just an adult fucking baby. He's never been funny. He's never had anything unique about him that warrants you being attached to him. It's time to grow up and realize that now, because it's clearly affecting you in ways that are negative for you. If you're making a video where you're trying to find reasons to side with him this desperately, protect yourself. Don't protect Ethan Klein. You're about to embarrass yourself in abominably terrible ways. You're going to give us like a soundbite where you defend having a shit-covered floor. Don't do it. Don't do it.
He already said. Why did he tweet that? Why did he tweet that there was cat? Sorry, I understand the purpose why he would tweet that, but I feel like sharing that is like a terrible decision. Like I don't think it humanizes people towards you. I feel like it makes people concerned that you're too partial.
I honestly feel bad for him because what he's about to do with this video is a self-destructive endeavor. Oh my God, I just feel bad for him.
Ryan tweeted it at Mike. No, I know. I just the toxoplasmosis for Ethan Klein.
You are my best friend. You are the rent payer. You are the legend. Thank you, Ethan Klein. You are my best friend.